I'm Cori Crenshaw.
I'm Richie Suave Flores.
And this is Sporty with Cori and Richie Suave.
On the Hockey Podcast Network.
What did I just listen to?
Oh, this game is just bullshit now.
Oh my gosh. They actually made me feel uncomfortable. What was it? Panty what?
The game has gone to bullshit.
Panty melted?
Why do we record these during the middle of games? Oh, God. Be sure to listen to Cori and I every Monday. We are your go-to source for the Arizona Coyotes on the Hockey Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 68 of the Discussion 5. We are here as the Brothers of Discussion, here to talk to you the 5 most pressing matters for your Detroit Red Wings. A lot of other NHL stories going on today. Very few strictly Red Wings conversations going on in this episode.
Zero! None!
When you're a last place team, that's where you gotta focus. The rest of the NHL.
Reap what you sow.
Yeah,
We've got a garden of diarrhea. Yeah, we've just got the manure. No vegetables in this garden. Go ahead.
So we are still watching NHL games. So if you want to follow along, the Discussion 5 at BOD Hockey. And we're also on Instagram, brothers_up_discussion. Yesterday, the only meme I came up with that was I had an okay time with was in that Chicago Blackhawks and Edmonton Oilers game that just didn't turn out so great for the Oilers. It got a little bit closer, but at the end there, but it was easily a Blackhawks win. But Mike Smith getting hung out to dry, so he gets pulled out of the net. He's covered in sweat. And I said, man, that guy is way too sweaty for being hung out to dry for the last period and a half. I was pretty proud of that one. I think I only got like 2 likes. And, it's not fair when you don't have an established brand on Twitter that the juicy memes don't make it up the rankings because other people just post like, Mike Smith, ! And it's got 800 likes. And it's like, what the okay, cool. Have fun with that. Anyways, if you want to continue to follow Brothers of Discussion, you can find us in our pro wrestling podcast at bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com. We're also on Twitter at bodpodcast for that show. And the Instagram account I mentioned earlier is a joint account for both the Red Wings podcast and the wrestling podcast, as well as our YouTube channel, which is also just labeled as the Brothers of Discussion. And, of course, the quick reminder, checking out the Hockey Podcast Network. They are on Twitter at HockeyPodNet. And as you heard at the top of the show, it is the Arizona Coyotes podcast that we had our advertisement there for. And you'll hear from the Arizona Coyotes podcast later in the show as we introduce sort of, I don't know if I want to call it a special segment. I mean, these are... I took a look at the count here, Mike. A couple of the interviews that we'll be playing today are quite long, so we might need to repeat them so that people so they're spread out. But basically, we are talking to 5 different NHL teams. At least I may get some more audio later today on why Red Wings fans should be cheering for them. Is there history? Do we owe them? Are there similarities in play style? Maybe there's similarities, as you'll hear later, in the standings for the qualifier round in regards to who that last place team is. So we've got the Habs, the Caps, the Yotes, the Knights, and the Oilers so far. Like I said, we could be getting some more audio later, but you definitely want to listen to those because everybody had some fun letting the Red Wings fans know why they should be tuning in. And then it's actually coming from the Hockey Podcast Network, so you guys get to hear from each one of these different shows. And while the playoffs are going on, a couple other shows to check out. And we just, we feel bad. So we're still going to be going through these NHL drafts, even though there's, 2014 playoff going on right now. Anyway.
There's not a lot to talk about.
the first question I want to ask would be, since we have these other teams coming on, um,
Yeah.
who, Mike? Because you were describing like what the nightmare situations would be, and I think they kind of started yesterday. But
Oh,
who
God.
do we want to make it through the qualifier?
Yeah, like one of our favorite references is The Athletic, that Max Boltman's a really good writer. He tried to say, Red Wings are out. What, as a Red Wing fan, who should you be rooting for? He threw the Lightning out there because it's like, you got the Yzerman connection. They got a couple players that we really wanted to sign away from them, that are going to come up in our redraft in a minute. But I really think he's off the mark because he picked Montreal, and I can't think of a more nauseating situation than Montreal advancing. And Pittsburgh retooling with our boy Lafreniere. There's one team that I want to just sweep all the way to the cup, and it's Pittsburgh. Please, for the love of God, Montreal, just start pulling your goalie for the entire third period. There's no reason for you to win. You need to take one for the rest of the team. You need to lose these games at all costs.
But you want them to lose the cup, right? We're not going to actively root for Pittsburgh to win another Stanley Cup. That seems like if they get
draft as far away as possible. Just put them all the way to the last pick. I'll take it. I don't want there to be any doubt. Somebody falls. I don't know.
This makes no sense.
You want them out.
Admit you don't want them. Admit you don't want them to win the Stanley Cup because you don't say, "Well, I don't want them to have Lafreniere because they're going to be good."
You know what?
So
okay, it's coming out.
Cup.
No, it's coming out. All right, I'm a closeted Jake Wetzel fan. There, I said it. I want Jake Wetzel on the Lord Stanley Cup. Damn it!
If I have to yell at you one more time about fucking Jake's name, oh my God, I'm gonna fucking murder you.
That's the only way I can love him, but still just keep him at arm's length by mispronunciating his name. So absolutely, I want Montreal to just tank at all costs. But the question I had for you, and I didn't realize how competitive this is going to be for our hearts. Would you rather see Edmonton or Chicago advance? Because you're either picking, Illinois' version of Pittsburgh, or you're taking Ken Holland, potentially getting Lafreniere. How do you feel about that?
Also, I mean, the joke started yesterday when Edmonton started letting the pucks drop in there of, a top line of Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Alexis Lafreniere. I mean, from the standpoint of just seeing that line get put together would be amazing. Where if somebody was sitting there going like, oh man, now we can put, Lafreniere, you can play with Taves and Taves can sort of see a resurgence because he'll have that speedy youngster with him. That pains me to hear. Like I actually want Chicago to make it through. I do. I'm okay if Edmonton gets, they get, if they lose and they end up picking up Lafreniere. I'm fine with that. It sucks because, I mean, it's obvious why it sucks. Another first pick for
it's
Edmonton.
Just, what's funny about it is like a decade ago, or wow, goodness gracious, it's longer than that, about almost 20 years ago. We've been doing these redrafts, and Ken Holland's like, you know what, I'm going to see what these Russian prospects are like. This is Pavel Datsyuk? Well, let's give him a shot. And now it's like, if they lose the series to Chicago, then it's kind of like, well, we discovered this new way to draft players. We, hope for an outbreak, super contagious outbreak. We get into a weird playoff tournament, and we tank the first round. And for some reason, we had a little bit of success in the regular season. It didn't matter. We still got the first pick. So we do this new thing where we play pretty good, give the fans buying tickets, give them a show. And then we tank in the first round and take advantage of a worldwide epidemic. Kind of this new thing we're doing. So Lafreniere, he's going to be on our team, looks like. I wouldn't be surprised if it fell into their lap. It's such a Holland thing to occur.
I mean, I guess that's right. We talked about that when we started doing the redrafts. How good is the pro scouting department when they wait till the 6th or 7th round to pick up a guy.
Right.
And who's just rolling the dice. I think we have some good picks here. But again, I want you guys to hear for yourself. So, Mike, we're just going to insert these throughout the show. I want to introduce Mason Dixon of the Montreal Canadiens podcast, Habs Nightly. They are, I mean, they've got to be over the moon right now after taking down Pittsburgh yesterday. The big conversation piece is, can Carey Price do enough to get the Canadiens past? So everybody, please enjoy my conversation with Mason Dixon, and we'll be back and we'll continue our conversation on what's going on with the playoffs. One. All right, everybody. Like I promised, we are going to talk to a few different teams in the NHL. Why? Well, I mean, when you suck balls, you got to find something to do over the next. What did I just say? Did I say 8 to 12 weeks? But yeah, we're going to talk to Habs Nightly, which is going to be in control of the Montreal Canadiens podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network. You can find Habs Nightly on Twitter as @Habs Nightly. So it's HABSNIGHTLE. Oh my God, TLY. Spelled that one wrong. And I have Mason and the last name Dixon.
Yeah.
Hell yeah! All right, that was off my memory. Sweet. And, Mason, you've got your Patreon for the qualifier round. I want to make sure everybody knows about, and the biggest assholes of the NHL also coming out that I was very excited to. On the most recent episode, you guys hit your quota for likes and retweets. So I hope that didn't take the 13 hours that you were you were guessing it was going to take for you to put it together.
Took honestly, like, the biggest assholes actually getting the list wasn't too bad. It was finding a good bracket maker on the internet. That took me forever.
I can actually tell you, I've been in charge of like doing. Well, when I was in school, I was doing like a marketing club, and we did this horrible thing of like ping pong tournament. Like, it was a beer pong tournament. We couldn't call it beer pong though for the sake of the school, but I had to eliminate myself because I couldn't find a good bracket thing, because I had to sit there and update the goddamn, like I had it on my flat screen in my living room, just, hey everybody, here's where everything stands. And it was literally like 3 matches in. I was like, well, shit, this thing sucks so much. I'm done. I'm eliminated. Everybody else have fun. Good luck with the $500 cash prize or whatever.
Oh, that's awful.
Oh yeah. Part of it was for charity, so I kind of told myself maybe I'm just being a good person, but no. I hope that doesn't go, or I guess it already has, but I hope it wasn't that bad for you that you had to give up and throw something away. But
I spent about an hour and a half. I found this really cool website, and I'm not going to plug them because I put so much time into it, and I went to download and it was like $20 to download. I was like, oh, are you fucking kidding me, man? Yeah. So
Jesus.
No plug for them. But
well, this is I'll set this up for us. We can knock down these pins pretty easy. I strategized here. I'm going original 6 hat because I figure we got to start here. Like, where's the relationship? Why am I, why are the Montreal Canadiens on the Red Wings podcast? And, we got to stick together. We're the original 6. It's becoming more and more of like an old man trope. I feel like the original 6, we're turning into like if you even bring it up, it's an eye roll across the rest of the league. But
oh yeah.
No, I mean, for me, we talked about it just a little bit online. I've been a huge fan of the Montreal Canadiens. And it started when I was a little guy because I love that Habitant logo and that jersey. I love the red, white, and blue. Oh my God! And when you're a kid, you don't really, you're not really thinking past logos. But then because of that, I made the mistake once of telling a Red Wings announcer that I liked the Canadiens almost more than the Red Wings. That was a mistake. That was years ago. But I can at least still say they're in my top 5.
And we're red. We're the original red teams. We're like
Right.
long lost cousins. We've been around for a while. Butt heads every once in a while, but
I've got a streak going too of every Montreal Canadiens game in Detroit. Yours truly attends, and I think that's probably the best way for me to at least say I'm still sticking true to being a Habs fan.
So
But,
you saw a lot of dubs this year then.
Oh, yeah.
You guys swept us.
Oh yeah, you know what? I was thinking I'm not going to bring that up. It just seems too mean at this point. But maybe it's okay since you guys are actually in the qualifier round and we are looking from the outside.
Well, it's like a wicked percentage of your wins are Habs against the Habs this year too.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It hurt a lot.
Well, see, that's the thing, right? Like, if nothing really changes in either of our situations. Like when you take a peek at it, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys would still be on the bubble side of things with your points total. Like, let's say it flips the other way and Canadians go 4-0. I mean, the way that I look at it is it's just like this anomaly. This really is just for Red Wings fans. Like the Canadians fans can just kind of go, it didn't really happen. Like, let's focus on the Penguins. Let's, if that doesn't go well, we've got a Lafreniere. But well, actually, let me throw that question out there to you. Are you before I let you give your quick pitch on Red Wings fans cheering for the Canadians? Where are you leaning? You want to beat the Penguins or do you want Lafreniere? Because I mean, Lafreniere in Montreal, that's got to be like the perfect situation.
I'm so torn because it's hard to watch a game and root for your team to lose because then you're not a fan,
Right.
I know I'm going to be sitting there screaming at Crosby, calling him a bitch, crybaby. Like I'm going to be off my rocker.
Yeah.
But I think looking at it from like a logical, like GM kind of standpoint, Montreal does not want to win this series. Because we're just going to get past Pittsburgh and just run headfirst into the Bruins or someone, and we're going to be out.
Well, then, like, let's say that does happen because I totally get it. I mean, like that GM perspective is kind of why I actually went through the whole Red Wings season with a smile on my face because I was like, all right, this all turns out pretty poorly, but in the end, we'll have a shot at Lafreniere. And you're right. I think you do lose a little bit. Like if you can't simultaneously cheer for your team, like if you're watching these games and you want them to lose, but just to this season though, if you're not laughing through every game, oh boy, you're probably seeking some special help. But the question I wanted to throw out there is if you guys are getting past the Penguins, it's probably a pretty good bet that Carey Price has a lot to do with that. That's my perspective. You might have a different look on that, but is it possible that Carey could carry you guys through a few rounds?
I mean, when Carey Price is your goalie, I think anything is possible because, he hasn't, I'm not a delusional Habs fan and I'm not going to tell you Carey Price is, still the Vezina winning,
right,
Hart Trophy receiving goalie that he once was. But Carey, I don't know, he can flick into that old Carey Price at any moment. And I think the big factor is he had a lot of drive to win this year. And, looking at that exhibition game against the Leafs, it was a 4-2 loss, but two of them were shorthanded goals. One was a cross. Carey Price actually played a pretty good game. So I think it is possible that Carey Price leads them through. But if Montreal gets past Pittsburgh, look at Philip Deneau too, because he's going to be tasked with playing Crosby, playing Malkin. It's going to be
I was going to set you up for that. I was going to say if it's not Carey Price, who else? I was going to hint. I have a pretty good idea of who you're a huge fan of.
Selke Trophy should be finalist Philip Deneau.
Everybody Wings fans. So part of this is I'm hoping you guys are all going to check out Habs Nightly, but you got to check out episode 66 on I think that was July 26th. Then, if I'm not sure how it's going to be labeled or the easiest way to find it, but goddamn, if you want to hear a guy get behind, no, I mean kind of the same way. What's funny is I've spent most of our show and our existence I backpedal quite a few seasons, but your passion is pretty similar to how I always wanted Pavel Datsyuk to win a Hart Trophy. But yeah, goddamn, like it's almost too obvious, and it hurts the way the Selkie works because you mentioned it on your show that it's all based on reputation because
Oh,
it's so hard to
100%.
yeah, it's so hard to measure. And as a guy that followed Pavel Datsyuk, and then he could just double up the number 2 guy in takeaways. But then when we go back and look at like takeaways and giveaways, is that really the only way to define a good defensive forward? But yeah, I mean, if you guys aren't paying attention to Dano, I just you can't recommend it enough. And if you're an analytics fiend, you already know that this cat is like another level. I mean, and you'll probably agree with this, but like Bergeron when Bergeron was Bergeron.
Yeah, basically. Like when Pavel Datsyuk was winning all his Selke trophies and getting all those nominations,
yeah,
it would partially, you could say reputation, but Pavel Datsyuk was Pavel Datsyuk. Like he earned them, and Bergeron definitely, he has done everything to earn the reputation he has.
absolutely.
But yeah, looking at the way he's played with Boston the last 2 seasons, his main, and I think that was my main argument, his main goal isn't to stop opponent centers anymore. It's to put up points with Pasta and Marchand. And I think, a defensive forward, should be usually a guy whose main goal is to stop Connor McDavid, stop, Bergeron and Marchand, guys like that. So that's where I think it's become sort of a best offensive defensive forward, kind of like the Norris is the best offensive defenseman. And, that's just the way the voters are voting right now, and it's frustrating. But
yeah,
yeah.
You do start to wonder if there's a best defensive defenseman award coming soon. But the last thing I want to do here for you, Mason, is give you that opportunity to. I know I'll be watching the Canadians and cheering for them, but I want the rest of that Let's Go Red Wings Nation to know that they've got someone that they can trust to root for. Not only because you're facing the Penguins, but well, you know what? I don't want to steal anything from you. I don't want to steal any thunder. So. I'm not sure if you had anything prepared or if you have anything off the top of your head, but
I have a little something prepared.
Awesome. All right, I can't wait to hear it.
All right. Well, we are the Habs. We've sucked ass like you have all year. And just like you finished last place in the NHL. Well, we're last in the play-in, and I think, we share a common goal. We're last place brothers or sisters, whatever. You should be with us because, we gave you those 4 wins. We gave you some joy on the year. Now give us some support because goddamn do we need it. The rest of the league is not for Montreal. They want to see us go down. They want to see us burn. Please, if you have any kindness left in your heart, and I wouldn't blame you for not having any because that season was fucking horrible.
Yep.
Outside of Larkin and Anthony Mantha, like, man, I guess Perduzzi's a little bit of a shining bright spot too. That was tough to watch.
Yeah.
But Habs fans, we need your help. We need your support. Our last place brothers, please, and sisters, please give us your support.
I love that. And honestly, everybody, it is going to be a fun ride. I do hope I get to see those Habs colors going into the next round. Even though there's still a part of me as a Habs fan that I want to see Lafreniere. If he's not going to land in Detroit, goddamn, he better land in Montreal. But fingers crossed on that one. And Mason, unless there's anything else you wanted to make sure the Red Wings fans out there knew what was going on with your show, I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you coming on to do this because. Like I said, if it wasn't for my fandom with the Habs, I worry that the Red Wings fans wouldn't wouldn't give you guys a chance. So I'm glad that you were able to come on and be the second voice, so that everybody will make sure they get on board with the Habs. But anything else you want to throw out there? Otherwise, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity to plead the Habs case. I'll just leave you with if Montreal does go out and Gary Bettman doesn't make sure Lafreniere goes to Montreal, fucking fire him.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that you said that. Constant topic on our show. Man, if you don't believe that the NHL wants to control a piece of that lottery draft, you're crazy, man.
You're off your fucking rocker.
All right.
He's behind it.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Hopefully there'll be some good opportunities going into next season, because it sounds like maybe we're rolling into that pretty quick. But hopefully we'll be able to chit chat again soon.
Yes, hopefully, and hopefully not a sweep next year, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, geez, I will trade a winning season to go 0-4 next year. So, we'll keep an eye on that one too. All right, Mason, thank you so much. Everybody, just like our podcast, make sure you're checking out every Monday for Habs Nightly, and then that Patreon they're going to be doing for the qualifier round to get a few bits of extra content out there. Follow their Twitter at Habs Nightly to get all that information. And biggest assholes in the NHL. Can't go wrong there. All right, Mason, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. To keep moving along here, we've got Matt Dumba came out, Mike, at the start of this Chicago Blackhawks and Edmonton game. Actually, real quick, sort of underrated aspect here, because the NHL sort of hates the West Coast so much. I was excited to see this game, because it is pretty rare that I get to see an Edmonton Oilers game. But even better was was this at the beginning of that game? Oh shoot, maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Anyway, yes, it was that game. I had to think about Malcolm Subban and what jersey he was wearing, because he was on Matt Dumba's right side, holding his shoulder as Matt Dumba kneeled through the national anthem. First time a hockey player had done it on the ice. It's great. Was it enough to have another 18 guys from either team standing on either side of Dumba, with your players of color on either side with an arm on his shoulder, but standing around him? I don't know why we can't just have them all kneel, or have the guys that support Matt Dumba just kneel. Why?
Yeah, it was a little odd. I mean,
it's one of those we do in the pro wrestling podcast, where they're trying to be better, and we say, all right, is this better than it was yesterday? Abso-friggin-lutely, it was better than yesterday. And I mean, like not what happened yesterday. I mean, is the NHL doing better than they were the day before? Yes. I mean, they put in big bold letters on all their screens, and you had it on your TVs, like, end racism. But what would be that step better is just to have everybody, like in the NBA, you see Black Lives Matter is everywhere.
It was literally on the backs of jerseys. They didn't even have their names.
On the floor, on the court.
Yeah. I mean, there was even some really cool moments that with tone deaf announcers, and I almost feel bad for the announcers who got set up to fail, because you would do, like, say her name, for Brianna, you would have Black Lives Matter on the back, and Jimmy Butler went out there with nothing. He's a guard for the Miami Heat, and he was trying to say that if he wasn't an NBA player, he would be just another black man. So he wants that to be realized, that after basketball, that's how he's going to be treated. He's going to be judged on his blackness and not anything else. And it was a pretty powerful statement. And then the referees made him go put on a jersey with a name on. And during the game, the commentators explained what Jimmy Butler was doing. And it's pretty, a provocative message. And then afterwards, they were like, oh, Jimmy Butler wasn't allowed to play. You got to have something on your jersey. And it's just, why would you set that person up to fail? Like they should have known what was going on. Anyway, it was just a little thing, but I agree that the NHL probably could have done more. It was a little odd to just see one guy kneeling and nobody else kneeling, especially because we have all these guys right here. It's not like they don't take knees, for stretches or anything else like that. It's not that odd. So I don't know. I mean, they could have done more. It's like you said, how much are we supposed to really expect? It's not a league that traditionally shows a lot of a hoot for these kinds of things. But at least they put out some sort of effort. I would like to see them kind of look at what the NBA is doing and the commentating team, which, we're the brothers of discussion. We talk about wrestling. And when like the New Day had a really strong moment when they came out and didn't do their usual entrance, took a knee, put their fist up. It was, pretty powerful, but the commentary team didn't say anything before, after, or during, acknowledging what they were doing, why they were doing, how you can support. The NBA has been really good about that. The commentary team has not been saying, with some social injustice. It's like, no, they were talking about Black Lives Matter. This is why we're sending these messages. This is how you can help. So it's like kind of blown away how that was the focal point instead of the actual game. So it was pretty amazing to see. So I don't know if we can ask all that of the NHL. I mean, you can ask. I don't know if I'm going to expect to see that out of the NHL, but I guess this was a baby step for them. So.
Yeah, and when you say, I wish they'd look at what the NBA is doing, that's exactly what they did. This is their reaction to that. So they just said, how far can we go and still, fail and be the NHL? So it's not, I don't want it to sound like I'm saying they failed yesterday with Matt Dumba coming on the ice, because that was a big moment. It's all over, the national media. The NHL's being, applauded. And again, this was you should do something like this. I think it's just the execution, like the final thing we see, there's still question marks, and there shouldn't be question marks. I mean, it should just be, let's do as much as we can. Let's just go all out. We had every NHL team put out a post that says, that to some rhetoric of social fight against social injustice kind of thing. But let's just say Black Lives Matter. Let's have everybody kneel. Let's make the statement. Let's fight for humanity. I don't know. It's just, I've heard, I think we've seen it from both sides, that people are just like, oh my God, the NHL did such a great, and it is like the step in the right direction. But I mean, I think you brought up, like, in wrestling, and I said it as well, like, can you do better than you did the day before? The NHL is at such a point, like, they could have gone just as far as the NBA, and they're so big, it's not a problem. Where, as you and I, as a couple of pro wrestling fans, if the WWE, I mean, and I'm saying from a business perspective, if they go too far in one direction, we will be very happy. But they are so scared because a great percentage of their audience is incredibly intolerant, and like they would be shaking in their boots. Where the NHL is not. I don't know if they have that problem. I think their problem is just like they're really like systemic racism in like the entire league, right? It is basically a representation of systemic racism. Like you can't get into it unless you're wealthy and white and you live in a good neighborhood. Like you have to have an ice rink near you. So I mean, it's just like, oh well. I guess none of the boxes are checked for, neighborhoods that I just said it, that aren't as wealthy. So it's just like,
yeah, you're right. I mean, it's it takes funding to play, and if you're not in an area that's gonna financially supported, it's really hard to kind of kindle that that level of like interest and stuff like that, because you can't even get out there to play. So that's maybe where they can take steps to like invest in the community and stuff like that. Kind of help out areas that maybe do have genuine interest, but you just don't even have the means to even try hockey, let alone get really great at it. So that's a little baby step they could make. That would also be a pretty good PR move, but we know how the NHL is not super focused on making excellent PR moves. So we'll leave it at that. But bravo to Matt. He did cut a really good speech there. The emotion started to hit him a little bit, and it started hitting me kind of watching him too. And it was a little distracting when they kept pulling the camera back. You could just see, certain players. It looked like, when you're at church and some of the kids, are not paying attention, and it's just kind of like something important is going on up here. Can you look at Matt just for a few minutes? But it's more of a failure on the production team, I guess. But good on him.
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of Matt. That was a tough situation to kind of be thrown into. So how do we transition out of this conversation? Well,
it's just part of the show.
Yeah. So let's give you another taste here of what's going on in these other NHL podcasts. We've been talking about this game, the Chicago Blackhawks and the Edmonton Oilers. So let's hear from the Oilers podcast. If you guys want to sit back and relax, this one is really good. John from the Oilers podcast jumps in here. Actually, we had both boys from the podcast jump in, and I just sit back, relax, and enjoy. This is a good, Ken Holland's new team. What do they have to say about getting your temporary fandom here in the NHL playoffs?
Hello, Red Wings fans. It is John and Kyle here from the Oil Country Podcast. Reason number one why you should cheer for the Edmonton Oilers this postseason. You guys spent years and decades cheering for a team that always made the playoffs. Now you can cheer for a team that's in the playoffs that hadn't made the playoffs for a decade.
We're basically you guys 10 years in the future, and we got Holland back.
And it's new Ken Holland, not the Holland at the end of his tenure that signed bloated contracts. He's young, he's refreshed, he's ready to win more cups, and you guys can cheer for a guy that brought you a lot of your success. The next reason is if we lose, we might get the first overall pick, something you guys don't have a chance to do this year.
Plus, we got the two best players in the world right now, Draisaitl and McDavid. I don't know what other reason there really needs to be to watch this team.
All right, Mike, we're back. We are making our way around the NHL, as everybody can hear. But one of the things we also love to do, Mike, is have our Lawnmower 3.0 make its way around our crotch region. And that's right, we're talking about Manscaped's Lawnmower 3.0 and how it can help you stay nice and tight down there in those nether regions. Light up where the sun don't shine with that LED light. Oh, God, I thought Mike was about to show off his shaved pubes. All right. Whew, thank God. So one of the nicest pairs of underwear I think I've ever owned. Everybody, if you're looking for a reason to purchase from Manscaped, the Lawnmower 3.0 tops that underwear. Holy crap, do I love wearing that stuff. I mean, you can really move around. It's nice and soft. Mike, I don't know, what's your favorite activity to do in that Manscaped underwear?
Your sound cut out a little bit. Did you say my favorite thing about wearing the Manscaped underwear?
Your favorite activity, actually, in the Manscaped underwear.
Wow. I gotta say, just day-to-day stretching. I feel like I have perfect ventilation. I feel like I have wonderful flexibility in here. I usually have like a buildup of funk, but thanks to these, there's just, this is comfort I've never known before. Like I've adjusted how I buy underwear now. I've adjusted, my diet going forward. Everything's just going better for me. I like the stretch. I like the feel. It's the apex of comfort. There's no hyperbole in that statement. These are my favorite underwear that I own, and I own Star Wars underwear, so it's right up there.
Well, I know also just holding in our new light and airy packages that were cut so clean because we've got that premium ball cutter. Lasts up to 90 minutes. It's got a 7,000 RPM motor. Let's not forget about that beautiful charging stance you can show off. You are working with Manscaped, so everybody that's special in your life will know what's going on in that special area. But if you want to try out the Lawnmower 3.0, you can get 20% off and free shipping with promo code THPN at manscaped.com. That's right, manscaped.com, and promo code THPN. That's for the Hockey Podcast Network. Gets you 20% off and free shipping. So go to manscaped.com, use that promo code, try out the Lawnmower 3.0, grab some underwear so you can be bouncing around the house just like Mike and I do every weekend, and use promo code THPN. All right, Mike, time to jump into 2008 NHL Draft. Woo!
Yeah. So we just go back in time because there's nothing in the present for us Red Wing fans. But, man, the 08 draft. I got to say, we've been trying to find the narrative of past drafts, whether or not it was, the building of the Penguins, the building of the Hawks. Last draft, we had a one-man band. But this one, I think the narrative is one that we want to occur for the 2020 draft, where the narrative is just have picks. My God, the entire draft made it. It seemed like whoever you picked in the first round and like halfway through the second round made it and had a pretty solid NHL career. Not 5 or 10 games, like hundreds of games played. An actual point share. You actually mattered. You actually had a NHL level hockey card. We've seen so many of these drafts where it's just, a pit after the first, 5 picks. And then you kind of find some guys who are hanging out in the second, third round. But this was a hot draft. Doughty, Erickson, just pick a defenseman. John Carlson, Roman Josi. There's a massive list of guys. It was really tough. I know we like putting these categories together. But it was really tough to sort. There was some obvious losers because somehow 2 teams really screwed this pooch. But I would say scouting department winners, you can't give it to Tampa. They had the first pick. You can't give it to the Kings. They had the second pick. Let's go with Ottawa, man. I liked your choice here. Basically, everybody they picked. Almost everybody played a couple hundred games, which is when you look at what the Red Wings did this year, pretty enviable situation. And they did draft a guy who has a fantastic mustache in his NHL reference profile picture. In addition to being an excellent NHL hockey player, is Erik Karlsson. So bravo to Ottawa there, who also managed to parlay him into some draft picks that we're going to see here in the next couple months, Matt, here in 2020.
All right, those scouting department losers then. I thought this
it's a surprise who's in.
We're 1 week removed from having a conversation like, oh my God, the Montreal Canadiens are in the scouting department winners list like every week, and it's this draft where they turned it around.
They heard us. They heard us, and they said something. You know what? Let's bomb this draft.
You mean they heard us? They heard us.
You know what? You guys don't know shit. Watch this.
Well, that's when they landed 0 man games, and only. Well, I shouldn't even say only. But yeah, 0 man games, and it was a full draft for Montreal too. So there's another team up there that also had quite a shit draft. And again, when you talk 0 man games, I mean, there's nothing else to dissect. Not a single guy they picked up made their way to the NHL draft or the NHL main roster. But also Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, to defend the Penguins, they did not have a full draft, full stack of picks here. They only had 5, as opposed to the normal 7. But still, only one game to come out of that, which is kind of funny to me that it almost felt like, well, one of these guys has to do something, so they just threw out one of their guys. But Montreal Canadiens, Pittsburgh Penguins are 2 big draft losers. Only one game played, leading us into kind of, I would say, the opposite of what a being a loser at drafting does, and more. We have our Datsuk diamond in the rough. Maybe more of a lucky pick, right? Because if you knew this was going to turn out, you'd probably go a little bit higher with the draft. But
Right.
any hoozles, Cam Atkinson. I think I'll say this. You can make a very easy argument for me that Gustav Nyquist could win this.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Cam Atkinson. The note you have here, the 69 points that he had to peak sort of on the career there, and he's asked to do a lot in Columbus, which I think lends more to him being our Datsuk diamond in the rough for this draft, as well as Nyquist being in the 120s. I think it was like 129 or 124, and Cam Atkinson is 157. So you're just going a whole nother round deeper into the draft. But yeah, this to me, you could go either way. But I think with what Cam Atkinson was asked to do with Columbus, and a lot of people give him shit, but I think it is just forgotten that he's picked 157th in the draft. So did we expect a lot? I think he's performing pretty well for pick number 157. But sure. Mike.
Oh yeah, my favorite one is the Yuri DePito Award for the oldest player drafted. It's getting tougher and tougher to keep including this one.
For about like 8 seasons now.
No, it's not that bad. Like maybe 2 or 3. We created this award because Yuri DePito was drafted at the young age of 29, I believe. But now we're a lot more sensible in these drafts. There's everybody kind of sticks to the same blueprint. Just get kids. We don't want to draft these 30-year-olds. And it was mostly because of people didn't know how to handle European leagues where these guys are established and they don't really need to, be peppered throughout, various minor league affiliates. Like they're 30 years old. They're grown ass men. Bring them aboard. So that's where Yuri DePito came on. But this draft, we had Colorado take a defenseman who got 30 games in. This old 21-year-old man in 2008 was drafted, Giannis Holos. So he played a combined 30 games in the NHL, which is more than you and I will ever play. So bravo to Giannis.
So basically, don't draft those old fart 21-year-olds because it's not going to work out.
Well, that's not necessarily true. If you are Montreal, you had a shot at playing 30 games, which is 30 more than you got out of 2008. Matt, the Good Boy Award.
The Good Boy Award's going to Drew Doughty, who, and the Good Boy Award, again, if you're not a longtime listener, is that award for somebody who sticks around, just like your best, dog friend who sticks around and is loyal no matter what.
Through thick
so are
and thin.
these players.
Yeah.
Who's that? What?
I said through thick and thin.
Yes. And we've got a couple of great candidates here because you know what, you could be a good boy but kind of suck. So we always try to keep these at the upper echelon of what's going on in the draft. Right. But Drew Doughty, obviously a good boy, especially with that 8-year deal he signed back in 2018. And then Steven Stamkos, Mike, that you had to remind us that we were in the running to pick up Stamkos as an unrestricted free agent, but. All he ended up doing was sticking around with Tampa. Kind of one of the more disappointing, I think, free agency years for the Detroit Red Wings, including that Parise and Suter season. But
yeah,
I think was that back-to-back seasons that we were in that conversation, and then that was okay. So actually, what's going on here is we don't get.
It was definitely a coming back down to earth, a very emasculating moment 2 years in a row where the Red Wings blank check was sitting there and nobody wanted to sign there. It was pretty sobering, emasculating. Pretty devastating for the fan base, who since those years, I think we were kind of counting on those good old days when you just sign anybody we wanted, and then people are like, "Nah, I want to not play there. I want to win some cups." So I'm out. But that brings us to the Red Wings, Matt. Their 2008. It was basically they got one guy. It was the Goose, Nyquist. Besides being a serviceable forward for us, we did turn him into some draft picks. So, still got some good value for him.
Yeah.
The one kind of a bummer in this draft was our first round pick was Thomas McCollum, who, usually kind of tough to pick a goalie in the first round, and it was this year was no exception, because in the second round, the next two goalies actually ended up making it. McCollum, who still played only 3 total games. You could have had Jakob Markstrom, who's, he's been fine in Florida. He's not, lighting the world on fire, but, he's still got a couple hundred games under his belt. He's playing. And Jake Allen at St. Louis. No, he didn't actually really play in the Stanley Cup team, but he did get one game. And he's been fine in the regular season. He's just not, super duper mega ultra excellent. But both of them would have been upgrades over Thomas McCollum. So basically, Red Wings, you get the Goose, who turns into more picks later on. So.
Well, Mike, I want to get a couple more of these pitches here from our other hockey team. So we're going to go back to back here before we then we're going to end the show with the Vegas interview. But Mike, we've got Sporty with Cori and Richie, who talk the Arizona Coyotes. Richie's actually going to do the talking here, but Richie wants to let us know, especially as a Coyotes team that helped us out and doing a trade to take old Datsuk off our hands, take that dirty old contract. Why should, including that, why should Red Wings fans cheer for the Arizona Coyotes? Here it is.
Hey, Red Wings fans, it's Richie from the Sporty with Cori and Richie podcast here on the Hockey Podcast Network. We cover the Arizona Coyotes, and I want to explain to you guys why you should hop on the bandwagon of the Arizona Coyotes in this postseason. Number one, hey, remember back 10 years ago when you smoked us in the playoffs and you went on your way to a Stanley Cup final and we were just but a roadblock for you guys to get there? We were super nice, weren't we? Like, we didn't hate you guys all that much back then. Number two, Pavel Datsuk. He was a Coyote once, right? Never suited up for us, but that still counts, at least a little bit. Number three, who doesn't love an underdog? Coyotes are the 11th seed in the Western Conference. Plus, I'm sure you guys are still pissed at pretty much every single team in the Western Conference anyway, because they have all pissed you off at some point in the past. But the Coyotes, the wee little Coyotes in the desert, where hockey, quote, isn't supposed to be played, we've never done anything to you. Come on, Red Wings fans, hop aboard, howl along, become Coyotes fans this postseason, and you will not regret it. Ooh!
And a quick turnaround here. I want everybody to hear and meet Hockey Troll of the official Caps Chirp podcast. Hockey Troll lives up to his name, trust me. But he also wants you to join in and rooting for the Washington Capitals. And let's see if Alexander Ovechkin can get his second cup. Pretty good shot, I would say. This time, what do I want to say? This season, with how crazy everything's being put together here and all that rest, I think Ovechkin's going to have. I think he's going to have a monster playoff. But anyway, here's Hockey Troll.
Greetings and salutations, Red Wings fans. It's me, the Hockey Troll, of the official Caps Chirp podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network, representing your very own Washington Capitals. Unfortunately for you, long gone is the year in 1998 where your all-time great team swept us in the Stanley Cup Finals. No, it is now the year 2020. The world faces a global pandemic, and the Red Wings have cashed in a total of 39 points with a negative 122 goal differential. By far the worst team in the NHL. Those are two statements you probably would have never guessed would be true in your life. Don't feel bad though. My Washington Capitals turned in a paltry 21 points and negative .265 goal differential in 1975, both of which still stand as NHL records in the modern era. And for that reason alone, you should be rooting for the Washington Capitals as they begin their playoff run for another Stanley Cup. Do the right thing. Root for the Caps. Or we're not friends anymore. Let's go Caps.
All right, Mike. We are back. We are here now to do our 2008, which we've labeled, again, incorrectly. Every week, we forget to label this as the correct year draft. Roy's a year behind. The 2008 NHL Draft. And you know what we forgot to mention?
What's that?
This draft happens right after we win a Stanley Cup.
I remember those.
It's interesting, though, because in 2002, we said that was probably the best year in Red Wings history because of the massive draft we had that would lead to us actually winning the Stanley Cup with the players that we drafted that year. And this one, I mean, it just kind of fits, right? We only pick up Gustav Nyquist, who's not even on the team anymore. And it just slowly starts to go downhill from there. And we know, like, some of the future draft picks that are coming up that, honestly, just, I mean, look at our team. So just didn't work out the way 2002 worked out.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mike, I think I took the number one pick last week. So you have the number one pick this week with the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah. You had the one-man band last episode. This time, I don't think there's really any debate. I mean, we're going to talk about there's some really excellent defensemen that are going to be available, but
I think there's some debate.
I don't know. There's one amazing, generational forward in this draft, and it's a guy who I'm always impressed when somebody snatches away most goals in a season award from Ovechkin, and this is a guy who did it twice. My God, a guy that Red Wing fans salivated over, a guy that Red Wing ownership had a boner for. They literally had this blank check that just said, Steven Stamkos, please, whatever you want. If you want shares in Little Caesars, lifetime of pizza, whatever you want, sir, here you go. And he turned it down. The number one pick. Matt, I know you're going to make a case for Doughty, but it's got to be Stamkos. You don't like to have a top line guy who's going to get you 60 freaking goals in a season. There aren't a lot of those guys you can pluck off trees. I think that we've seen some weird instances of defensemen kind of worming their way in and learning this game. But man, top level talent. This is kind of, I know the injuries might kind of dissuade you from wanting to pick him because he wasn't available all the time throughout his career here in the NHL. But it's really hard to turn away that kind of point production, like that kind of consistency, game for game for game. It hasn't amounted to a lot of postseason success for Tampa. We've seen some nightmarish scenarios with them winning President's trophies and then just totally crap in the bed. But this guy is so freaking productive. I think you'd be remiss from not drafting a guy who just rocks and rolls for your fantasy team and NHL video games. It's just, he is a living video game. Matt, give me Steven Stamkos all day at number one.
All right. Mike, he was number 3 on my draft board.
Man,
number 1.
Some shade.
Woo! Number 1 on my draft board is not Drew Doughty. Ew, yuck. No. Boo. All right. So to kind of, I got to set it up like you. But this gentleman actually didn't make his way to the West Coast in reality until the 2018-19 season. Mike, the Los Angeles Kings did get a pretty good defenseman in Drew Doughty.
Oh boy, here we go.
But they're going to get one that's so much better. And then
are you taking my mustache?
You cross your fingers that those legs don't blow up and that he gets to stay speedy for his entire career. It's Erik Karlsson for me. He's number 1 on my draft board. He's going number 2 in this draft. Los Angeles Kings. Again, you don't Drew Doughty is not. I think right now we make fun of him, and he's got the huge contract and hasn't panned out. Maybe not, but that's not even the conversation we're having right now. The upgrade, I think, from Doughty to Carlson, even though the playing styles are different, I think is hard to measure, and it's so hard to get a defenseman that helped Ottawa get to a Stanley Cup. I mean, Ottawa's proved that they struggled coaching wise and strategy wise and everything wise, but they still made it to a Stanley Cup with Erik Karlsson leading the way. So number 2 for me, and number 1 in my heart, Erik Karlsson.
All right. Well, that's a good pick, man. I'm pretty jealous of that.
It's a great.
I was really hoping that you would just go in order and I could snag him for Atlanta at number 3.
Nope.
But not gonna happen.
Well, I mean,
you can't really complain for Atlanta if they lose out on what I thought was going to be Karlsson. They're going to get an excellent defenseman. As we're going to see, most of these teams they were sniffing out the right recipe here. That this draft was super defenseman heavy. I'm going to pick a guy who one of our Good Boy Award winners, Matt. And my God. The dude from his age 25 to 28 did not miss a regular season game. An all-star, Norris Trophy winner. He's been excellent in their Stanley Cup winning seasons. He was able to get 16 and 18 points respectively. So out of a defenseman, pretty damn impressive stuff. So while Karlsson may have taken you there, Doughty actually. Maybe did a little extra. He did just a little extra for me. Okay, so I'm taking Drew Doughty. He's taking Atlanta from the toilet up to the top of the bowl, and they're going to be relevant with this guy. And if you need a laugh in your life with these COVID times, you absolutely need to go to Hockey Reference to look at Doughty's amazing 2 front teeth missing picture. It will brighten your life. He looks like from Pokemon a Bidoof, but. Drew Bidoof Doughty, hell of a pick for number 3. Atlanta gets a major upgrade from what they did originally.
All right, so I'm really gonna throw things for a loop here.
Oh boy, here we go.
I think I'm especially recent history is where this is coming from because or you know what? Let me mix it up. I should go with the easy thing here. I shouldn't try to outdo or outthink the competition here. Let's just make it easy. I'm gonna I ranked him based on this past season. So the second guy on my draft board, I'm gonna keep him there, and I'm gonna kind of hope that you don't take him on the next pick here. But I'm gonna let St. Louis hold on to Pietrangelo. I'm okay with that. He's nothing to sneeze at. So I mean, we're talking about Drew Doughty and his accomplishments, and I started thinking oh, are you going to take Pietrangelo right here? But yeah, like the All-Star games, he's always been in Norris conversations, not winning one, but we've got some 4th place finishes, 5th place. It really fell after the 2015 season down to 22nd place, 16th place. But he's always in that conversation. It does help being, one of the best defensemen for one of the defining defensive teams that would be the St. Louis Blues over the last 15 years. But yeah, give me Alex. He's sticking in St. Louis as that number 4 pick.
Oh, that takes me to Toronto, who they took Luke Shen, who he's pretty good defenseman. I just think we could do a little bit better here. We're gonna pick a guy who. He didn't quite come out of the gates, just lighting the world on fire. All right, the past couple defensemen that we took, but he's definitely coming into his prime here. He's had a couple back-to-back really excellent seasons. Finally getting that Norris recognition, not winning, just getting pretty good votes for it. All-star, give me John Carlson, man. He's doing really well. Past couple seasons, at age 28, 29, 30, you're looking at a defenseman getting 68 points, 70 points, 75 points. That is nothing to sneeze at.
I love that. We both.
I don't know. He's doing well. I don't know why that sound effect was coming out of Matt. And you know what? playing for the Caps. He did finally get that Lord Stanley Cup for Ovi there, and 17-18. He also performed really well that playoffs because he had 20 points in the 24 games played. So the Capitals have had some kind of scary, who's going to show up and get points for us in the playoffs. That's why they've had so many donuts for years. And then 17-18, I think, Carlson's a guy you could count on. So I don't think Toronto's going to be upset with that. They get a big 6'3" dude who, shows some consistency. He's getting just better with age, and hell yeah, I'm proud of this pick. I'm mad with your sound effect. Boo! Give me Carlson. Come on,
I'm fine
man.
with my sound effect because I'm going to take one of the analytics darlings and is, I hope, finally going to win his Norris Trophy this year. This is the guy I had at number 2 on my draft board with some recency bias.
Woo!
And I just held on because I was like, Mike might not take him. But he's off the board now. Roman Josi is headed. You know what? I don't even see what team I'm drafting for. The Columbus Blue Jackets. Holy crap! What an upgrade from Nikita Filatov. They went left wing, but I don't think they knew how many amazing defensemen were going to be coming out of this draft. And Roman Josi really is. I mean, it really is like the game-changing defenseman that you want. He doesn't knock it out of the park with points, and that's why he's always struggled to get over the hump of Erik Karlsson and beating that, because that's really what from a marketing perspective, that's what you want to see. And then you get to say, oh, my defenseman has all these points and he moves so fast and he's got long hair and he's got a cool mustache. But Roman Josi does the job. He is a defenseman. And he's leading, we talked about St. Louis doing such a great job. Nashville, when they make it deep in the playoffs, it's again because they are defense first, and they need to with the leadership from Roman Josi, like that's where they get their victories. 100% Roman Josi going 6.
So does he just need a little bit like a marketing manager to kind of make him a little more colorful?
Honestly, it's one of those things with the NHL where it's like, okay, you've gotten your votes, and now it's time for the media to just recognize true greatness, and then they hand over the Norris. You start by getting involved in the conversation for Norris, and then you start moving up in the voting, and then eventually it's just kind of like, all right, let's give it to him.
Well, speaking of recency bias, Matt, the NHL's back on TV, and one of the first games I watched was the Rangers and the Islanders. So that's why, Matt, I think contributing to this pick here for the Nashville Predators, who originally took Colin Wilson, who was the Colin Robinson of what we do in the shadows of the 2008 NHL Draft. He's not going 7 again. We're going to give them a little upgrade. They want a forward. We went pretty defense heavy. What was that, 4 or 5 in a row? Good Lord. We're going to go Jordan Eberle, man. He's definitely sticking. If they're going to pick the Colin Robinson of the what we do in the shadows, if you look at some guys, we made fun of getting some marketing behind your image, whether or not you look like a Bidoof, whether or not you have a cool old-timey pirate mustache. This is not Jordan Eberle. He is a very expressionless fellow, but he does one of those things that are near and dear to our hearts as Red Wing fans. He's a contender for some Lady Bings, and he's been a like a third line guy, kind of getting like 50 points. He had one strong season. He had 76 one year, but he hasn't quite been able to match that since. He's been more of a gentleman than a point scorer. But slight upgrade, and I think we're starting to really see this draft fall off at this point from some world-class defensemen and then some, pretty good forwards and defensemen. So, Matt, that takes us to the Yotes at number 8.
All right. I think with this, because we talked about, I'm going to give it away here, but the Datsuk Diamond in the Rough award. But it really...
here it comes.
I think it comes down to
Here
this.
it comes.
He didn't necessarily have an incredibly lucky start. I mean, if you take a look, you can clearly see like the amount of games played that a guy like Cam Atkinson has compared to so many other guys on this list. I think it could be something that maybe these numbers are a little bit higher if he's got as many seasons under his belt and he jumps up these rankings a little bit. And I think that's probably what's hurting him on this list. But I'm going to take Cam Atkinson. I think what you get out of Cam and a guy who actually you can see over his career is plus 33. So from any respect, he's at least a little bit responsible from home. But it was very tough to find any forward outside of Steven Stamkos that was really going to rock your numbers. And like I said, Cam Atkinson has been on a Columbus Blue Jackets team that until recently it was tough for them to find some success and to become a little bit more respectable. So I like Cam Atkinson at this spot. I think he hasn't had a ton of talent to play with. I mean, even they get one season of Panarin and then he jumps ship. So it's one of those things where I think this could look a little bit better if he wasn't the only he wasn't the only guy producing for Columbus, but he did a lot for this team, and it was even enough, Mike, to get some Hart Trophy votes. And if I can pull this up real quick, I can actually give you the effing year. But in the 2016-17 season, that's as we love to say, nothing to sneeze at. But yeah, he didn't finish anywhere near the top 10. But when you get those Hart Trophy votes, you're starting to recognize that this cat has a lot of work to do on a team that doesn't have a lot going for it. And yeah, I'm going to take him.
All right, this is my last pick of this draft, and Islanders with Varlamov, they're going to be like, Michael, what are you doing to our team? Now we're going to have a glut. But I didn't want this guy to go through the draft and potentially the redraft and potentially not get picked. Matt, it's a guy who we should probably get used to. It's a guy that you should learn to love because there's a very high likelihood that he's going to be a Detroit Red Wing come this offseason. Matt, the Stanley Cup carrying, couple-time All-Star. What a Vezina. You can't be upset with a Vezina, can you? Matt, get ready to welcome Braden Holtby to the Red Wings. But first, we're going to welcome him to the New York Islanders because that's who's going with my last pick here, number 9. These goalies, it's so hard to say that, it's just year to year to year to year. Consistency, you just try to catch lightning in a bottle a couple of times, and this is a guy who did have that consistency, his age 25, 26, 27 season, just a lot of winning, a lot of personal accolades, and then the most important thing of all, being a Stanley Cup winning goalie. So there aren't a lot of those, Matt, and the Red Wings are probably going to be adding one to their roster, even though he's not quite as good as he was in his apex. He's starting to fall off a little bit, but sometimes it's just that little change of scenery that kind of gives you that kick back into high gear there. So, Matt, we don't want Holtby to go unmentioned, so he's getting picked. Matt, that brings us to pick number 10 for the Vancouver Canucks.
So, this is tough. I feel like we haven't had this much of a struggle to get through the top 10 than in this draft. I really think so. I'm looking at our list here, and I have a 10, but I'm even questioning who's on my list here at number 10. And I think I'm going to have some fun with this instead of just taking highest points.
Yeah.
Mike, if I go through this list of everybody who's left, and I try to find a guy who had some Hart Trophy votes. Do you know who I just found had some Hart Trophy votes and is going to go number 10 to the Vancouver Canucks?
I love a good mystery, but I got to go house shopping.
Maybe turn in 2 good seasons like he did over his career so far.
I love a good mystery, but I got to go house shopping. Who you got, Matt?
Number 10, Vancouver Canucks are taking Gustav Nyquist. The 13-14 season.
You
Good
talk
stuff,
about
Kyle.
worming in some names, huh? I felt guilty about mine, but you old dog, you. All right.
I mean, you can't
he was
dance around
fine.
it. 13-14. He had Hart Trophy votes. God damn.
God dang. Well, that wraps it up. I gotta go buy me a house.
Yeah, that's it for this. We have to. I hope you stick around here for the conversation with Dave Aikman from Vegas Nightly, the newest podcast to be added to the Hockey Podcast Network. Stay tuned, listen, and enjoy. This guy's actually from the Detroit area, so that's why he was excited to jump onto this podcast. So you get to know Dave a little bit, and then learn a little bit more about what's going on in Vegas this season, why you should cheer for Vegas, and why it's so easy to make the transition from a Detroit fan to a Vegas fan. All right, Mike, you got to go. Everybody, thanks for tuning in, and have a good one. This is no problem at all. I feel like I'm wasting hockey fans' times with a Red Wings podcast on a weekly basis.
Dude, I'm high risk for COVID. I've been stuck in my house since March, pretty much. Yeah. So anything I can do to get rid of the boredom, I'm all for it.
Very cool. No, I hear you on that. I think everybody's been like taking that opportunity to like, all right, let's kind of upgrade what we're doing. So at least with us, I'm happy too, Dave. Let me introduce you because I actually hit record, so we're just gonna use this. I like it. I like banter that is organic.
That works.
But this is Dave Aikman of Vegas Nightly. The podcast is at Vegas Nightly. You can follow them with the hashtag Weekly Nightly, which I love. The second I saw that it was Vegas Nightly, I was kind of thinking that's where that you got to play with Nightly. It's perfect. But Dave, you are at Aikman CMU, and I'm gonna take a guess here. Is that Central Michigan?
Central Michigan University. Started there fall in '97. Graduated from there in 2003 with a double major in geography and earth science with an emphasis in secondary education.
Very cool. And you were telling me before we started recording, I mean, hats off to you, man. The work that you are doing in the Nevada area. You know, I have my mother-in-law is a teacher, so I'm just there's the giveaway of what your job is. So I've heard the horror stories, but as you put it, you're going above and beyond and helping some. And you probably have a better way of putting it. How would you define the folks that you're helping?
For me, teaching it is my life. I know beforehand you asked me if I had kids of my own. I said no, but except for the kids that I teach are my kids, and some of them, you know, they're all great kids, but they all have their issues, and some of them, some I would actually legally adopt if I really could. If I really could do that, I would. Like I had one just graduate this year. I mean, she calls me dad.
Oh man.
But she's an awesome kid though too.
Well, so what I'm doing here, Dave, I hope I'm really setting you up with the alley-oop here because as we're talking on the Red Wings podcast, you guys don't even need to know the next thing we're going to mention for you to be on board with Dave, especially with that story there. But Dave, coming from Michigan, you are a huge Red Wings fan. We can see the blanket behind you, so you can't hide it. But we got into the conversation about how many Red Wings jerseys you have. I confessed I'm a hat guy. I think I failed because I'm wearing the same hat I wore on the last interview, and I did want to wear a different hat for like every interview I do. But I'm a hat guy. You're a jersey guy. But it's all about the Red Wings. But yeah, I mean, help us. Let's build this case here because Dave is someone to trust, ladies and gentlemen, and we all know what I'm doing. Man.
My first jersey I got was a Paul Coffey jersey back in 1994, 1995. That was the very first one I had. And then it was the only one I had forever because I just couldn't afford jerseys for a while. But then as I got older, I bought, especially during the 2002 run, I bought a few.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's some legendary names that you get to throw on a Wings jersey there.
A Lidstrom, a Konstantinov. I know I have the 75th anniversary jersey of Yzerman. I have that old school black Iserman was one too, but that's still in Michigan with a friend of mine.
Oh
It
no.
probably wouldn't fit me anymore anyway, but still. I let her borrow it when she went to a game with like her brothers or something, and we kind of lost touch after that. We still talk every once in a while. It's just that she's still there and I'm here, and I only go back during the summertime. And
Man,
so,
I hold grudges for DVDs I've never seen, and we're already on to Blu-rays and 4K and Ultra HD, and I'm still angry about those DVDs. So, God bless you for for not tearing them down a little bit harsher. All right, so huge Wings fan, and you've made that change over to Vegas. I myself have said a million times on our show. It was so easy for me to transition into kind of joining together Detroit fandom and Vegas fandom. I don't know if I could put a finger on it, but you're in the area. What do you see? What made the easy transition for you besides just being in the area, but seeing what Vegas is doing over there?
well, for me, the transition kind of goes a little differently because even though people give me crap on both sides,
Oh, great.
I'm still fans of both teams. And it's like, well, what if they play each other? I'm like, either way, I win. It's either way. What they meet in the Stanley Cup final, I hope it goes to 7 games, and every single game goes to overtime.
Perfect.
Because more hockey, the better.
I
will still be. I mean, I'll have to maybe send you this later on, but the game in November when Vegas played in Detroit, I was there. I was front row, right in the corner.
Nice.
And on the Vegas broadcast, you can easily see me because who was it? One of the Wings, I cannot remember who it was all of a sudden, but he was behind the net, just waiting for everyone to move around so we can move the puck up. And I knew the camera would be on me. I start waving, and you can see me on the broadcast waving.
So there's the proof right there, folks.
Yeah.
Huge double fan.
Yep.
Now,
I have this hat on right here that I'm wearing right now, and I have my Gerard Gallant jersey on.
Oh, very nice. A Gallant. All right.
And that's when he was still the coach of the team.
Man, I'm super jelly right now of all the jersey mentions because we talked like a fraction of a second about my jerseys because I'm a huge Datsuk fan, and that's all I've got. If there was a new Datsuk jersey that came out, I would go pick that sucker up. But I don't know. It's that's a whole nother conversation for another day. I actually gushed on the Ice Analytics podcast, and it was disgusting. I'm sure people were throwing up.
I could go on and on because I had jerseys like crazy, not just hockey, but basketball or not baseball and football as well too.
Oh man!
So for the Wings jerseys, I try to have one at every single one that they've worn, every type, and I try to do the same thing with the Tigers as well too.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the Tigers for me has always been tough, but I think Detroit fans right now, it's tough every angle. All right, so right now it's 2020. We've got the Golden Knights are one of the teams that we can actually pick to cheer for as Red Wings fans. Is there something that you might point to that makes them really easy to cheer for? And this is before we get into like the final pitch, but
yeah. Well, it's the enthusiasm this team plays for, not just for themselves, but this community here. The way the team stepped up after the October 1st shooting in 2017, the way they just interacted with the community, they donated blood. They donated their time giving out supplies to victims and families of the victims. I mean, the whole community just came together off that team. And that was before the team exploded out the way they started that season. That was before that. And then as they kept winning, the whole community, the whole city here, the whole valley just came together and got behind that team. And it was just, everyone saw how magical it was. I mean, nobody expected, not even us. I thought they'd be able to compete with, maybe for a wild card spot or something, because as people say, the expansion draft was rigged. Okay. Well, a lot of the better players they got was actually through trades, not necessarily the expansion draft. Yes, they were related to the expansion draft.
Yeah.
But nobody expected a trip to the finals.
The lottery draft is certainly rigged, but I don't know about that expansion draft. I agree. I was very upset with that. Actually, though, I think I was more upset that a play-in team got the number 1 pick than I was with Detroit getting the 4th pick. It's, we've gone I think we did a streak of 5 straight episodes of me complaining about it. But the whole idea behind why they need a draft lottery and then going the exact opposite direction for how this play-in team in the qualifier round and somebody getting this shot is going to work. Just classic NHL, in my opinion.
Just like what Eiserman said, they statistically got in the spot that they were most likely to get into, which was the 4th spot.
See, and that's why he's the GM and not one of us podcasters, because I would have done that Zoom live with the Detroit media, and I'd have been swearing up a storm, man. It would have been ugly. I'd be fired immediately. It'd be worse than Chayka. But so I got to throw in at least what I think is controversial of what's going to happen here for the Golden Knights. Once I don't know. Maybe this is easier for you to answer because your eyes are probably glued a little bit closer than mine. But who should be and who is going to be starting in net for the Golden Knights? I feel like that seems to be the biggest question for me, because that's what I look at with the Golden Knights. You either have classic Marc-Andre Fleury or you go, I think from a coaching decision, it looks like Leonard seems to be the way to lead. But what do you see?
Well, I was talking about with the guys with Vegas Nightly earlier today because I was thinking, man, that's a really good question. But we've been talking about for the last couple weeks, kind of, and we said to ourselves that it kind of depends on how they look in the round robin games. Fleury started yesterday, looked pretty good. Leonard's going to start the game against Dallas, and they'll probably flip back and forth. But we both all of us kind of said that it depends on the matchup. And then the more I thought about it, I thought back to 2008 where Hasek started in the first round and then they switched to Ozzy.
Yeah.
I can kind of see the same thing happening there. Depending on who they match up with, they'll start with one goalie, and if it doesn't start working, then they'll switch and then just roll with it. But it kind of depends on the matchup. Leonard's a huge goalie, and he fills the net.
Yeah.
So maybe a more methodical team will play against them, where Fleury's a more athletic goalie. And if you got a fast team that moves the puck very well, maybe he'll play against them because he can move quicker.
Well, that philosophy got the Predators. I almost got the Predators a cup. So with Pecorine. So I like just going big with a goaltender. I think it makes sense. But I do still have you get all warm and fuzzy when you think about Flower. So it's like, how do you don't want to bring him into a coach's meeting and just you got to see his smile flip upside down. I just couldn't do it.
I got a little tidbit about Fleury as well, too.
2008,
2008, Game 1 at Joe Louis. I was there.
Oh,
I was at that game. A friend of mine happened to be getting married that weekend. My boss let me have a couple of days off after Memorial Day. So I flew home, had the wedding on, I think, a Friday. I think that game was on Saturday. I got tickets as soon as they went on sale. So I was actually at Marc-Andre Fleury's very first Stanley Cup final game, which Detroit won 4-0, I think was the score.
Yep. Man, holy crap. I think people are going to start questioning if you should be hosting the Red Wings podcast. Because I've said it before on our show. I've only been to one playoff game. Part of that is when I had money coming into my bank account and when we were actually successful. But I only saw when we swept the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's the only time I've seen a playoff game, and it was beautiful. But I was jealous of the jerseys. But now, oh my gosh, getting to go to the Stanley Cup final. All right.
I remember
Dave,
right after graduate high school, I put myself on the list for season tickets for the Wings.
Yeah.
My spot finally came up as I'm driving through Texas, moving to Las Vegas. So I was like, oh, that's a kick in the seat. So, but
and you sweat it out for like 5 minutes. You're like, well, maybe I can get them and like sell them all in StubHub, and then when I'm in town, I'll be good to go.
Yeah, this is 2006 before those really came out so much, but yeah, I couldn't afford it.
Well, let's hit the final number here. Your pitch for people to sort of make the same sort of let's assimilate with the Vegas community and Vegas fandom. Let's go from Detroit Red Wings to Las Vegas fandom. Why should we do it? Give us your pitch.
Well, I got to start out with, I got 2 words for you: Tomas Tatar and trade after that. with that trade right there, and I'm probably the only Vegas fan that was actually happy about that trade. Because you got a first, a third, and or first, second, and third. And that first ended up being Joe Veleno, which I'm very excited about with him. I remember watching him at the World Junior Classic last year. I liked his feistiness, but the thing is, he's talented too. I'm looking forward to him when he finally makes the big club. So
you might be upset that I'm projecting him as a bottom 6, but you still got to fill out a roster. So
yeah. Well, yeah, I could see that too, but I still just like it. That trade right there is like, wow, I can't believe they pulled that off. A first, a second, and a third for Tomas Tatar.
Did they get a single goal out of Tatar before the end of the season?
No, he did.
Okay.
He got some, and I think he got maybe 1 or 2 in the playoffs, but he didn't play in the finals.
That's where
Gallant just could not get him into a spot. He kept moving him around, so he never had consistent line mates. So, but this team this year reminds me of that 1997 team. Minus the 42-year-old drought.
Yeah.
We got that
drought
checking line
from inception.
Yeah. 3 years.
Yeah.
We got our own grind line. They actually call themselves the meat grinders. Reeves he's really turned his game around too since he came to Vegas too. People thought he was a dirty player, but not now. He's really clean up. Minus the hit yesterday.
Yeah.
But you can see that wasn't really his fault. The guy he hit, his head was down, and he just kind of leaned into it. So.
I would take. I'll throw this. I'll take Reeves' side any day of the week because he's one of the better characters I think of all the NHL players that are out there. But you know what? I keep interrupting your pitch. I'm sorry.
No worries. I mean, this is your podcast anyway, so I have a tendency to ramble on too. So of course that's probably the teacher side of me. So, but it reminds me 97. You got, like I said, the meat grinder line, and you got Stone and Pacioretty being, our top dynamic scorers.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I love Stone. Ever since he came in, he's a beast. You got a young defenseman really growing into it now in Shea Theodore. I mean, I think he's going to have a breakout playoff this year. I mean, no way in the world will he ever remind me of Lidstrom. No. Maybe a Rafalski.
There we go.
But I think next year, he's really going to break out next year, and he'll be a top 10 defenseman in the league. That's what a lot of us are thinking over here. And it's just, the best pitch I could probably say about Vegas or Wings fans becoming Vegas fans is, why wouldn't you want us to beat all the old rivals in the Western Conference? Why wouldn't you want us to beat Edmonton, Dallas, St. Louis, Nashville, and Colorado? And then in the finals, knock out those damn dirty Penguins. Stomping out the Bruins.
That's a bold statement right there.
Or turning off the Lightning.
Oh, man. Ooh. See, I don't know. I might still have some fuzzy feelings for the Lightning because of the relationship with Stevie Y. But I honestly, when you run through those names in the Western Conference, it's hard to come up with a team that you find love for. And maybe that might be it right there, right? That's hitting the nail right on the head, man. Like, we haven't had to butt heads. There's been no issues between the Knights and the Red Wings. I love that point.
No, I remember that first season though, when Mantha, he's the one who actually hit Fleury and got the concussion. Some people were upset. I'm like, dude, he's going after the puck. You expect him to do that. Fleury just happened to be in the way. You couldn't help that. Which actually, in my eyes, is kind of a hindsight there. Is the rest actually helped him because he was on fire after he came back.
I mean, I'm glad that you're planted out there because you have to do the work of us Wings fans to make sure that Vegas doesn't get too angry at us when we show up to watch those games.
Yes.
So everybody, like I've been saying since we started, this is like the easiest team in the world to root for. I love breaking up whatever the norm is, and that's what I think the Vegas Golden Knights represent. I think that might be why they got screwed last year, but again, I'm a conspiracy theorist when it comes to the NHL, and not everybody else is. But it can't possibly happen 2 years in a row. So we've got a pretty good chance of Vegas not getting screwed in the first round. But Dave, I can't thank you enough. I don't know if there's anything else you want to plug that maybe you guys are doing on the show or anything like that. We're both coming out every Monday. But again, thank you so much for coming on to give the pitch.
Yeah.
But I want to give you a minute here.
Hey, and thank you for having me on too. But right now what we're doing, Vegas Nightly, at Vegas Nightly, is that we're in a competition with the Minnesota Pod, the Soda Pod, to see who can get the 500 followers first. And we've only had ours a Twitter account for a week, and we're already over 300. Now Minnesota's over 400. So, and the giveaway, we have a giveaway with it too. If we hit 500 by Saturday, we give a free jersey out.
Oh man!
So
Very
that's
nice.
competition right there.
I will say, you guys actually, you made me hit the accelerator. So now I've been doing as much as I can on social media because I was like, oh my God, we've been active for how many weeks? And we're still only hovering just above 200. So when I saw that you guys were going at it, I was like, all right, here come the Red Wings. We'll come in last place, as we should. But we're gonna give an earnest effort.
As the team improves, as the team improves, things around will improve as well too. So, but no, I love it. A lot of us, like, we pretty good with our Twitter accounts, especially. I used to run I also coach high school basketball here in town. So, cool. And I ran our social media, so I kind of got a little bit of experience with that as well too. And so, and AJ and Carlo. Carlo is at some dude 88. AJ's Choi _AJ. They're into tech, so
listen to you guys on your show, and then over on you guys were guesting on the Soda Pod too. Some of that stuff I was like, oh shit, I gotta work a little bit harder to figure out what the hell they're talking about. All right,
and then I can't forget our statistic guy, Eric Simonis, either. So,
oh man. We don't even have a statistic guy. It's just me running numbers.
Yeah,
all right.
He loves it.
Dave, thank you so much again for coming on. I hope that we can have you on again because I want to hear the insight as from another Red Wings fan. I'm sure all the Wings fans out there from hearing from two brothers for such a long time gets a little exhausting, but we'd love to have you on once there's hockey games going on, or maybe around the draft. We can get some input on where your head's at with, hopefully not picking up Jamie Drysdale.
I would love to come back, and you're welcome to come on ours anytime as well too. So
fantastic.
To let you know, I usually plan on going to every single game that when Vegas plays in Detroit. I didn't make the first one, but I've been at the last two. So.
Yeah, COVID's been a real bummer because that was the plan this year, or for next season was actually to set up a trip. We had a bunch of friends that were getting together, but everything even though we were planning, like whenever that schedule was coming out, we just threw everything in the garbage. We're just like, all right, we'll wait till like 2022 or something.
Well, I got season tickets, so whenever you're there, you'll see me.
Perfect. All right, thanks again, Dave. Have a good one, and good luck.
All right, go Knights, go.
Thank you.